Hello, good morning, children. Today we are going to read the chapter Deep Water. As we know, swimming is only one of the numerous hobbies like canoeing, rafting, boating, collection of stamps and coins, etc. But it is a hard experience. Its popularity can be judged from the fact that it has been included in the Olympics. But water, which is the elixir of life, is also very dangerous. We all know about the fury of the floods, cloudbursts, and tsunamis. When a boat capsizes, only the skilled swimmers survive. Now, in this chapter, the narrator describes it is an autobiography, and this chapter has been taken from the book of Men and Mountains, and we can say it is an informal autobiography. We know that the narrator learned a valuable life swimming lesson that one must try to challenge and overcome the fear itself. The lesson highlights how our childhood experiences play an important role in formation of our personality. Now we come to the chapter. William Douglas, the narrator of this chapter, had an aversion means fear, to water which he had developed as a young boy of 3 or 4 years of age when he went with his father to a beach in California. While both of them had been standing there, the waves of the sea tossed him down. Although his father was enjoying, but the narrator felt suffocated and scared. It was from that day onwards that Douglas was terrified of the overpowering force of the waves. When he was 10 or 11 years old, he decided to learn how to swim at the YMCA pool. YMCA. It has been used, or we can say its full form is Young Matured Christian Association, which was not dangerous like the Yakima River, which his mother had already warned him about. And she would often told him how many persons have drowned in that river so that he could feel panic and he should not go near the river. But in the swimming pool, the shallow end was only 2 or 3 feet deep, and the drop to the 9 feet deep and was a gradual one. One day, when he decided to learn swimming and he went there, he was just beginning to get comfortable with himself in water. When one day, while sitting alone by the side of the pool, a strong 18 years old boy picked him up and threw him into the deep end of the pool. While sinking into the water, Douglas was very much afraid, but not frightened out of his wits. He wanted to grab a rope, but all that he could reach was the water around him. He thought of a strategy that when his feet touched the bottom tiles, he would make a big jump and reach the surface like a cork, lie flat on it, and then thresh his legs to reach the safety of the edge of the pool. However, this plan did not work. Douglas did reach the surface, but not as quickly as he had hoped. Gradually, his eyes and then his nose came out of the water. But before his mouth could reach for air, he sank below again. All he saw around him was the glow of the dirty yellow water. He screamed for help, but only the water heard him. His lungs ached, his head throbbed, and he began to feel dizzy. As he was going down, for the second time, he felt paralyzed with fear, and severe terror took hold him completely. He was stiff with fear, and it was only his heart that the hammering of in his head which proved to him that he was still alive. As he was going down, he felt paralyzed with fear, and severe terror took him completely. He was stiff with fear, and it was only his heart and the hammering. But he did not lose his heart. He tried jumping again, but he was still surrounded by water. He shook and trembled with fright, and his fear was so great that it was like a charge of electricity. He tried to call out to his mother for help, but nothing happened. This time, when he went under the last of all consciousness, and it was as if the curtain of life fell, and after this, he fainted. When Douglas opened his eyes, he found himself lying on the stomach near the pool and vomiting. He could hear the boy who had thrown him in say that he had just been fooling around because he did not know that the narrator did not know swimming. Several hours later, still shaken and trembling with the effort, he went home. That night he cried himself to sleep, and for many days after that he was haunted by the great fear. That was the last time he went into the pool. From then on, he never went near the water again. As he grew up, he had to forego all his fishing trips, salmon fishing in Maine, bass fishing in New Hampshire, or trout fishing in Bumping Lake, etc. And he was deprived of the joy of other water activities like canoeing, boating, and swimming. So he decided that he should overcome his fear of water. Douglas knew he had to control and overcome this fear. So one October, he hired an instructor who taught him how to swim in pieces. He began by attaching a rope to a belt worn by Douglas. This rope was went through a pulley on an overhead cable, while the end was held by the instructor himself. In the manner, he went back and forth across the pool for many hours and weeks. When finally his sense of panic had lessened and the author began to feel more comfortable, the instructor taught him how to put his face into the water and exhale, and then to lift up his nose and inhale. Bit by bit, Douglas got rid of his terror. For weeks, the instructor held him at the side of the pool and made him kick with his legs until they relaxed, and he learned how to control them. Then he incorporated all the parts together to make a complete swimmer out of Douglas. In April, the instructor declared that he had taught Douglas every type of stroke and now he could swim. To be sure that he would not be alarmed or afraid when he was alone, Douglas practiced by swimming the length of the pool. But tiny bits of fear did return, however. He controlled himself by mocking at the fear and swam on. Douglas was still dissatisfied, and he decided to test himself by going to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire. There he dived into the water at Tigris Island and swam across the lake to the Stamp Act Island. In the middle of the lake, he looked into the bottomless water and he felt a small bit of fear. He again rebuked fear and swam. To put all his doubts to rest, Douglas then went up to the Titan Meadows. From there to the Conard Creek Trail to Mead Glacier and camped near Warm Lake. The next morning, he swam across to the other shore and came back. He gave a shout of joy because he had finally conquered the feeling of terror and was no longer afraid. The author reminds us of President Roosevelt's words: all we have to fear is fear itself. Douglas believed that as he had experienced both the sensation of dying and understood the fear it produced, his appreciation for life and the desire to live had increased immeasurably. Now he felt free. In this way, the writer describes that nothing is impossible in the world. If anybody tries, he could achieve success, whatever he wants. Thank you. Have a good day.